Good day and welcome back to another Dbz Dokkan battle video. In this video we're going to be taking a look at, well, how to complete the Cell Max Red Zone completely no item. So this is going to be the Cell Max Red Zone, not the Super Activation Cell Max event. Now the big thing that obviously you need to understand when it comes to looking at things like the Cell Max event or the Red Zone one is that he changes typing. So he changes typing quite intensely. I want to say he changes it frequently, he changes it every turn. So units with guard or units with evasion are going to be your number one go-to here. Now his attacks are not as, how can I say, his attacks are not as hard as one might say the other red zones are. So his attacks are not as high, his attacks are not as intense, his attacks do not hit as hard. So there is a little bit more, I want to say, control, or how can I say, like, it's not as punishing for you. For example, if a unit that is in type gets hit by Metal Core Cooler, they're going to take like 3 million damage. Well, like 1.8 million damage, no matter how high their defense is. Whereas here, a unit can start to take some type disadvantage attacks. Not lots, it's not like there's a big difference, but there's enough of a difference that it's not so challenging. So obviously, as I mentioned, the secret to success is to use guard, and our team, to be honest with you, really just runs quite well. We have a lot of units that have guard, so our main units being obviously, for example, the double Vegeta and Trunks. They are going to be our main headlining units. We are then going to be using the AGL Super Saiyan Gohan, who can transform. Now we won't be transforming him, although we definitely could. It's just about the right timing. And then of course as well, we also have the Tech Revival Goku, a very strong unit. And then we also have the Int Super Saiyan God Goku, and we'll talk a little bit more about these units in in-depth detail. But obviously one super important thing to understand here is that this team has a lot of guard capabilities, and we also have the revive skill obviously of Tech Goku. So we do have a very strong defensive team. So this team does tend to take a little bit longer when it comes to clearing the content than other teams might. So this team does tend to struggle a little bit in terms of damage. It takes a while to get going. Transforming Gohan would obviously rapidly solve this, but understand that once you transform Gohan, you do lose a lot in terms of his performance defensively. And that's really about it. There's not anything else too much I'd want to say. I think overall he looks really solid, and in general this team does a very good job. Now obviously, you can argue that there are better teams out there, and I'm not going to disagree with you. There is always the potential for there to be better teams, especially offensively, but I think this is a very strong team. It only took me 2 attempts with this team. It can get caught out. Catching too many super attacks or catching a super attack on Super Saiyan God Goku generally can cause us some problems. There is also Majin Vegeta, who's a very strong unit, but again we can suffer some problems if we are caught out. So beyond those two though, generally the team does quite fine. Once you get through the first 2 or 3 turns, generally your team is far too stacked up to really kind of struggle. like your team generally speaking tends to be quite strong, and doesn't really suffer too much at that point. Like it's almost too strong to fail. So just kind of talk through the team in general. The biggest thing is managing your health thresholds, which is why I say you can get caught out. Getting caught on a couple supers and being too low on health, and then the team doesn't really run as nicely as we'd want it to. But yeah, basically a couple really cool things here. Firstly, we obviously have good old Super Saiyan Goku, who obviously has guard, and then if he falls below 58%, we then have the revive mechanism. So we've got enough mechanisms going on, obviously, for him to really function quite well. Then we have the AGL Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, who when above 58% health has guard. When he falls below, he loses it. But generally speaking, as long as we stay in that threshold, he's really strong, stacks super duper fast, pairs up really well with the Int Trunks and Vegeta. In Trunks and Vegeta, obviously we have two of them, just still my favorite unit in the game. Active skill comes in clutch in terms of boosting the rest of the rotation's defense, and just in general doing a lot of really good stuff across the board. We don't tend to struggle at all with them on the rotation. They just do a fantastic job, and overall I would say they just are really good. Now of course, as well, just important to understand that they're not infallible. By that I mean you do have to play them in the first slot, so that for some people that is an issue, and I do understand that, but then generally speaking they are still very solid, and they should set you up quite well. The active skills also do help with damage and with boosting the rest of the rotation, especially if you start to get low on health. It's really good. Once the units start to build up, you start to heal pretty well. You're still always at threat of Super Saiyan God Goku catching a super, but generally he's quite strong in that regard. He has 50% evasion for the first 10 turns, which usually keeps him quite safe, and his defense can stack up to being a decent amount. It can really kind of stack up to being a super duper solid amount, and he can really look like super duper good, which I think he is a very good unit, and we've reviewed him a couple of times, but he is an incredibly good unit. And then the other floating unit we have is Majin Vegeta. Now Majin Vegeta, obviously a vastly improved unit with the fact that Trunks and Vegeta came out, which helps him a lot, can be said. But of course also with that, Trunks and Vegeta obviously makes him really strong defensively. He's got that starting 30% defense. If you manage to get the right amount of orbs, he will have another 30% defense. And then with that, with his decent raw defense, he tends to be quite fine. He doesn't really lack for defense. I think he does really well as a unit. The more dupes you have, obviously the better. That's always the case, but I think in general, Majin Vegeta sits in a very comfortable position overall. So I really like him, just dig him in general. And I think, he does a really strong job. So Majin Vegeta is one of those units that I think, honestly, just does a great, kind of performance overall. And he pairs up nicely with Trunks and Vegeta. The only thing you do have to do is manage his orbs, but luckily the rest of the rotations aren't really too orb heavy, so you don't tend to have a massive problem holding orbs for him. It's not like you're running lineups that desperately need orbs, like having cells or cell perfect forms or things like that. So generally speaking, you have quite a good, I would say, level upon which to work with, where you sit in a very good position overall, and you tend to have pretty solid kind of understanding and grasping of those units and those situations. So I think overall I would have to say pretty solid job in that regard, like a pretty solid kind of performance from the team in general when it comes to defense. But that's not the only way you beat these events, but it does obviously help out a lot. I'd be a liar if I said it didn't. But yeah, in general, I would say the team is just solid. It's just in a strong position. It doesn't want for anything, maybe a bit of healing. But yeah, I would say in general, you're probably looking at an incredibly strong, very, very good team that can just do the basics and do it well. You don't really lack for anything. We're not really openly searching for anything too much. We're generally just happy with the team's performance. The only thing is using the rival skills and using the active skills properly. This obviously can make things a lot easier for you, but in general I think most players won't be having issues with these. The timing comes quite natural. Like I said, you just maybe will struggle a little bit from time to time, depending on how well things have come together. But yeah, I would say in general, really, really good stuff. And yeah, obviously, the team did really well. I personally didn't have any major issues with the team, and it seals off the final, I believe, red zone no item. So for the final hard stages, I guess, or in inverted commas hard, we will be red zoning, no iteming, whatever the other stages as well. But generally speaking, this was a pretty straightforward kind of system. Super duper simple stuff, and the team did a great job. Like I said, tiny bit of concerns that you need to have around units like God Goku, but in general the team just did a fantastic job. So I wasn't really too kind of held off or alarmed or anything like that. And as always, it's great to use a team with units I like, and any team that has Majin Vegeta and Vegeta and Trunks is a really, really good team that I enjoy using. So yep, very, very, very good job. And we finish it off on the Dokkan attack for 2 health, but hey, you know what I mean, gotta finish in style. But yeah, pretty much very happy with this performance, and I think overall I'm probably just happy in general. It's a really strong team. Obviously Trunks and Vegeta, the backbone again of a team run for me. It's usually them or Ultimate Gohan, and in this case it was them. But yeah, definitely a good time. But that's gonna be it from me. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like on it. It's always greatly appreciated. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. So until then, take care, stay safe, and bye.